Bet on Bears fans, another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast is coming your way. Pat the Designer back at it again. We got to talk about what we saw on Saturday. I mean, Caleb Williams absolutely looking the part. Is there a little bit more of a role for Austin Booker on this team than we thought? And evaluating the job that this coaching staff has done for the team at training camp. All that and more in today's episode of the Chicago Bears podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do, man. Very, very exciting times here in Chicago. I think there's a lot of Chicago Bears fans who are losing their minds right now at what we saw on Saturday. I almost said Sunday, right? We got to see, of course, the Caleb Williams debut. You're finally getting to see what he looks like versus NFL competition. And I think just about everybody left that game pleasantly surprised on multiple fronts. I think that when you look at the offense, right, I'll tell you this, and I've been somebody who's been talking about it the entire time. Looking at the offensive line and what they've put together, right, like, what a heck of a game. What a shock. What a surprise. Because I've been watching that offensive line every day at training camp, and it has not looked like that. So very good to see that. And of course, getting to see what Caleb Williams can do. That's really what it all comes down to. And the young quarterback showed out in his time to start. Let's break some of what we saw down. Let's take a look at some of the different plays that we saw from Caleb Williams as well and kind of dive into those. There's one play in particular that really stands out to me because, right, like the throws are the throw to DJ Moore, third down, beautiful throw. The throw to Cole Kmet on that right side when he's rolling out, beautiful throw, right? There's some throws out there that you feel really good about. And of course, there's the one that was a little bit of a struggle, the one that he got to it a little bit late on Rome coming out of his break there and ends up getting almost picked off. But Rome Odunze does a great job turning himself into a DB and knocking the football away. But there's one play to me that stands out above all the rest. And it was the scramble play. Because on that scramble play, you see a single high look initially. And Caleb sees a single high look initially. And that is, he kind of goes through, looks at it, says, okay, I believe it's Rome on the right side. He's like, I got Rome over here. I know I can take this shot. We're going to take this shot. But then as he gets ready to snap the football, they drop back the other DB and it turns into two-man up top. Now all of a sudden you're in a situation where he looks over, Rome isn't covered anymore. Or I'm sorry, Rome is now covered over the top with safety help. You've also got his check down man who was the running back on that play. I believe that was still Khalil Herbert, who was also covered. And so he just ends up tucking it, taking off, getting 13 yards. And it's the awareness that we saw from Caleb Williams that I left this game impressed with. And what I mean by that is, in his first NFL action, in his first NFL game versus a real defense, you saw Caleb Williams see the information, process the information, prepare to make a play, then see the information change, process that information, adjust what he wanted to do on that play, see that the other route that he wanted to hit on that play was covered, and make a decision to then take off, get a gain of 13 yards, and put himself in a position for another first down. Realistically speaking, he probably could have gotten more, but even the recognition of that, Jeff Miller talked about that when we were on the post-game show, the recognition of, like, it's a preseason game, dog. We don't need you fighting for extra yards on this one. Like, there's so many things to me that we saw Caleb Williams process on that one play that I was impressed by. Because it was process, figure it. Nope, that's not there. Throw here, that's not there. All right, I got to go. Adjusting your thinking or what you wanted to do 3 times on one play to make what turned into the right decision. That is something that is impressive to see from this young quarterback in his first NFL action. And I understand it's preseason. It's vanilla defenses. You're not sitting there seeing, right, crazy blitz schemes. You're not sitting there seeing crazy coverages just yet. But for your first NFL action, That's not bad. For your first NFL action, being able to already process that much information on one play is a good thing. And it's something that we haven't seen Bears quarterbacks in the past consistently do. Listen, I love Justin Fields. I think that he can still be a really good quarterback. I think that he's going to do some good things out in Pittsburgh as well. But the problem that we all had with him last season, myself included, was sometimes it takes him too long to read what's happening before he reacts to the play. Sometimes it takes him too long to see what's happening on the field before he reacts to the play. Caleb Williams is taking the knowledge, he's pairing that up with the ability, and he's putting that together. But having the knowledge is the most important part. Having the ability to look out there, instantly diagnose what you're seeing what changed, and then being able to go out there and execute something different off of that is the most important part. It's why game managers are able to sustain in the NFL. It's why you see guys who maybe don't have the most arm talent, but can process the game at a quick enough pace, still be able to go out there and survive in the NFL. And the difference with Caleb Williams on this team is Caleb Williams also has the talent, it seems, at least in that first game. He's also got the arm talent. But seeing the mental side of Caleb's game, that is where I was most impressed with him in this whole thing. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I left the game sitting there going, this guy's processing on a different level right now than probably most of the other rookie quarterbacks. He seems like he's a step ahead. Now, there's been an extra week of preparation and different things like that, but you're in a really good spot right now. A really good spot. And I want to see them continue to build on that, continue to develop that out, and continue to show him more, get more looks. You got these joint practices this week. This is one of the few times where your opponent is kind of willing to go out there and help you. Utilize that. This is one of the few times that your opponent is willing to go out there and say, "Oh yeah, we got. Don't even worry about it. We got this set up for you. We'll make this work here. Boom. All right. We'll show you this look. We'll show you this play and see how he reacts to it." That utilize that. That's great. Get him as many of those looks as you can. Now, as far as the things that we want to see him improve upon, I want to see you finish it off in the red zone. We haven't seen that from him a ton in training camp. We haven't seen that from him, and we didn't see that from him in the first preseason action that he was able to get into. He's got to start to finish some of these things in the red zone, but that takes time. And there was no DeAndre Swift out there. There was some pieces that were different out there that probably wouldn't have been uh, um, not out there in a real game situation, right? We saw a lot of Khalil Herbert. We saw just a little bit of DeAndre Swift. More than likely, you're going to get DeAndre Swift in that 3rd-and-1 situation, I would think, where you're trying to get that just 1 yard. Maybe Swift, a little more shifty, can get that. I believe J-Mac said that play was designed to go through the tackles. Maybe Swift doesn't go away from where the blocking is and takes that into the tackles, right? So, like, there's a lot of things that could have changed at the end of that first red zone drive. But at the end of the day, it's about scoring touchdowns. It's about getting 7, not 3. And I want to see them finally be able to overcome that bugaboo that seems like it's been something that's plagued them. In training camp, they haven't really been able to finish things off in the red zone. Now, you've got one of the best coverage teams in the NFL on the other side, so it makes sense why you can't finish things off. But even yesterday, just even to play with Rome, right? It's a timing thing. It takes time to build that rapport up. They both saw the same thing. They just diagnosed it different. Now they're able to work that together. And now you're going to be able to say, okay, well, I know when I see this, what Caleb wants. Caleb talked about it in his post-game presser. He said, we talked about it immediately on the sidelines. We both saw the same thing. We just thought different things. That's a great place to start. And it's exciting to know that they're both seeing the same things on the field. They're both diagnosing it the same way, and you can get on the same page that way a heck of a lot quicker. I'm excited. I'm excited. I think that there is a lot that we saw from this young baller in his first action. I mean, if we really want to break this thing down, right? You're talking about 4 for 7, 95 yards, 101 quarterback rating. 2 of that 4 for 7 And if I'm not mistaken, he incompleted 4 passes. So I don't know if they got the tally wrong on that or what. Oh no, because the one was a penalty. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I tweaked on that. The I was thinking about the throw to Rome. That was probably his worst throw, but it ended up being a penalty because that one was almost intercepted. But to me, you really can't nitpick anything about this performance. This was dang near a near perfect performance. The pass that would have kept the red zone drive going, that was into the hands of DJ Moore, ends up getting stripped out last minute. Very uncharacteristic of DJ Moore. That goes down as incompletion on him. The other pass was to Cole Kmet, who I don't know if he was just trying to get out of there before he looked the ball into his hands, but ends up dropping the pass there. Right, I'm not losing my mind on that. And then the other incompletion is a misdiagnosis that if they go back out there and get that same opportunity again, we've seen that in the NFL. You'll see multiple. You'll see a play come up again where and it gets run exactly the same, and the receiver adjusts the second time, and all of a sudden, boom, you got that perfect connection. We could have seen that turn into a touchdown in the game if they were allowed to continue to play. But of course, it's preseason; you don't want to have them out there. I just think that the things that you saw that maybe were like the incompletions or the bad moments, there's not really a bad moment there to pick from, but like the struggle moments, you can see the positives in it. You can really, I mean, like, how do you not see the positives in it? I'll tell you, I'll give you one even better, right? Because Roma Dunze's one, he didn't get a catch. Um, but on that play where Caleb Williams tries to hit Roma Dunze, almost gets picked off. The positive on that play is a veteran move by Roma Dunze to go, uh-oh, this ball's a little underthrown. I'm not going to get it. I need to use my size and length, turn myself into a DB, and make sure that this football ends up getting knocked down, even if it costs us a penalty, because an interception right here could be a pick six. Veteran move, veteran savviness from both of these young players. And in their first NFL action, those are things that, again, you're excited to see. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave the 5-star review. Y'all know what to do, man. And let me know your thoughts. What do you want to see continue? What do you think that Caleb still needs to work on? I think that there was so much good in this game to take away from offensively. Like I said, the offensive line is a shock to me. I mean, I was sitting there confused and because we didn't see this. And so it does go to answer the question. I had somebody in the Breeze chat ask me this. Does the defense being so good, is that why the offense looks bad, or does the defense look good because of how bad the offense is? And I think you got that answer a little bit. I think you found the answer to that a little bit because versus a different defense that's still trying to get after you, that's still trying to come towards you, and you didn't have what you thought to be your starting offensive line there, right? Coleman Shelton seems like he's going to be slated in at starting center for the foreseeable future until we get Nate Davis back, but you had Matt Pryor over there at right guard due to the injury to Ryan Bates. The offensive line looked stellar. Like I was literally sitting there confused the entire time watching the O-line because I was like, bro, I've been telling people all week that this all you know what it felt like, dog. I swear this. Like when you tell somebody, I got the perfect example. It felt like when your mom tells you to go find something and you go up there and you look for 10 minutes. You like, no, I'm not coming back without this because I know she's gonna hear. I'm gonna have to hear her mouth about not finding it or not having it there, or it's right where I told you it was, blah, blah, blah. So you look as hard as you can. And then you finally like, it's not here. I don't care what nobody say. It's not here. And you go back downstairs and your mom's go up there and she instantly finds it. Now she looking at you crazy. That's what it feels like sitting here telling y'all all these weeks, like this offensive line does not look good. I mean, it looks really bad. They are struggling on a week in and week out basis. And then all of a sudden, we get to the preseason game, and these must look like they have never even had any kind of flux on the offensive line. Like, I mean, listen, like I said, at the end of the day, I'm glad to see the O-line playing well. I was shocked to see the O-line playing that well. I thought that they did some really good things. The one mistake that you saw was from Darnell Wright, and Caleb Williams kind of took onus on that, saying, I held on to the ball a little longer than I should have, and that's why he ends up getting the hold call on that play, right? He's got a hold too long. Um, those are positives. I feel good about that. What we saw versus real competition, I feel good about that. Now the question is, can you stack it up? Can you do that next week? Can you do that the week after that? Can you continue to put your team in a position of success? Those are the things that I really want to see. I thought the offense had a very stellar day overall. And I'm talking about the first team offense. I'm not going to lie to you, right? Like I did the live watch party over on the Breeze. And after we got into the second quarter. I'm like, all right, I'm still here. We got to the third quarter. I'm like, bro, listen, let me get out of here. I don't care about some of these other spots. I thought it was interesting, the Velus conversation and stuff like that. And we'll talk about that as well. But I'm sorry, dog. Like I wasn't losing my mind over the second and third and fourth quarter, even though that's where we saw all the numbers come in. Shout out Ian Wheeler, shout out Velus Jones, right? That's where we saw all of the touchdowns and stuff like that come. Um, Let's keep this thing moving along, though. Like I said, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Let's talk about the defense a little bit here. Let's talk about the defense a little bit here. Because there's a couple players on defense who really showed out. Now, the Bears come away with 8 sacks on the day. That is a dream. But the combination of Daniel Hardy and Austin Booker was a dominant combination all game long. Now, of course, it started to look more and more dominant as they got up against less and less competition. When you're going up against the threes and the fours, right? All of a sudden, right now they're just killing guys left and right. But I thought it was very interesting, especially with Austin Booker. And I don't know if Daniel Hardy ends up kind of getting the same treatment. I thought that he made some really nice plays, but right, very different when a guy is drafted here versus not. But focusing in on Austin Booker, I think that we're seeing a young man who is a 5th-round pick who could be the steal of this draft because he's absolutely making a push to try and say, hey, I can be a starter on this team. At a minimum, I can be a heavy rotational piece on this team. And I know, right, there's some names already ahead of him. Of course, you got D-Walk. Of course, you've got Jacob Martin, right? There's names that are going to be ahead of him. But I don't sit here today and tell you that he's not ahead of Dominique Robinson. And I think he's somebody that can be a heavily used rotational piece. If not, right, if we see this continue, maybe he does fight for that starter's position because it's not just the speed that we're seeing, it's the strength from him as well. That's really where I was impressed by this young man. Doing some really good things against the left tackle out there for Buffalo. I mean, like moving guys, using that long arm like he's talked about. The inside spin move seems like a very deadly move. You heard Tom Thayer on this very podcast come out and say, that's not a move that this kid has been taught. That is a natural move. This young man is a natural pass rusher. I have been very high on Austin Booker ever since the draft began. He was somebody that I would have loved for the Bears to take with their 4th-round pick, but I'm even happier that we got him with a 5th-round pick. Oh no, listen, I also say this. Tory Taylor last week, for all the people it's the first time we saw a difference. Little sidebar on the punter. Tory Taylor last week, to me, separated himself from Corliss Waitman because I haven't seen the separation at training camp. What in that wind in Buffalo, still being able to boot punts like that, that's separation. Okay. You're the punt. I'm not as mad that we drafted a punter, although I'm still kind of upset that we drafted a punter. But I can live with it when I see the winds that were blowing in Buffalo, and he's still dropping that thing in at the 10-yard line. So shout out to that. I think that's going to be an asset here in Chicago for sure. But back to Austin Booker. Tom Thayer talked about how this young man is a natural pass rusher. There are things that you don't have to teach him And your hope is that he can just gain some weight. And he's going to do that throughout the season. Don't be surprised if he finishes out this season probably about 245, 247 ish, getting towards that 250 range, maybe able to come back a little bit over 250. Like, this is a young man that is all about business. And he has been somebody who I've been high on, like I said, since college. I was dying for the Bears to draft him because in less than 500 snaps, you consistently saw him make an impact. Consistently saw him make an impact. And guess what? In his snaps in preseason, in his snaps at training camp, whenever he's given an opportunity versus whatever the best competition is, he finds a way to make an impact. Consistency is really where you kind of see a difference in these in some rookies that the Bears have and some guys that we have that are not there, right? Consistency for Austin Booker. Anytime his name is called, he is always finding his way onto tape. He is finding his way into the backfield. He's finding his way to the quarterback. 2.5 sacks for Austin Booker. I love it. I love it. Dare I say that by the end of this season, don't be surprised. I don't know if it's going to be the beginning of the season. I think D-Walk gets his shot, but by the end of this season, don't be surprised if Austin Booker is your starting edge opposite Montez Sweat. And the Bears are comfortable with that. Don't be surprised. I'm excited for it. I think that it's going to happen. As he would say, book it. I don't know if he'd say that, but I'd say it. I'm going to say that on every sack. Book it. But no, man. Like this young man gets it. He gets it. He knows what he needs to do. He knows how he needs to get after it, and he goes out there and does it. He knows his game as well. I remember asking him, what are the moves that you feel you can really get away with? And he was like, I can do this, this, and this. I got the long arm. I got the spin move. I got a little bit of a rush. What do we see in the game? He's got the long arm. He's got the spin move. He's got a little bit of a rush. This kid knows his game. He knows how to play his game. That's what excites me about him. Don't be surprised if by the end of this season, you're talking about Austin Booker as one of those steals of the draft, and I think that he will be. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about Book in the comments below. I'm excited about this young man. I think that the Bears have a absolute gem in this young man, and I think that they are not going to sit here and wait around to utilize him. I think they're going to try and use him as quickly and as much as possible. Let's keep this thing. I'll give you somebody on the defensive line, though, who did disappoint. Everything was not all sunshine and roses. I thought that there was one player on the D line that did disappoint who has been dominant all camp. And that's Gervon Dexter. Now, I still think that Dex can be that 3 technique of the future, but I was really expecting to see that early on here. Now, he did get better towards the end of the first quarter. So maybe it was a tough beginning to the quarter, and then by the end of it, you started to see him have more of an impact, especially in the run game. He was really gumming things up in the middle. I think that he pushed the pocket a couple of times really well at the end of that first quarter. But it didn't feel like the dominant performances that we've been seeing from this Bears team in training camp. I was a little bit surprised by what we saw to Gervon Dexter. Now, I'm not out on Dexter. I'm not telling you that he's not still the 3 technique of the future. I think that he is, but you do have to be a little bit more consistent. Maybe if that game had continued, you would have seen him continue to build on that. Like I said, he was getting it going towards the end of the first. But just not as consistent on that pressure that he's been putting on quarterbacks in training camp, that he's been putting on Caleb Williams. We didn't see that consistent pressure when we got to a real live game with live reps. He was kind of getting stood up. He was kind of getting manhandled. Wasn't getting the hands up as quickly. So wanted to see a little bit more. Good to see a Zach Pickens sighting. Haven't heard much from him in most of camp. So good to see a Zach Pickens sighting as well. Let me know your thoughts on this defensive line. Were you excited? I mean, at the end of the day, once you saw Dom Rob get through, you knew things were looking up. Yeah, I mean, like I got to give him credit too. Like Dom Rob came through flying on that play. He was all over him. Shout out to Dom Rob taking over for Montez Sweat, who wasn't out there. That's the other thing you have to take into account with a lot of this as well. And It's the part that people probably won't. But not having Montez Sweat out there is massive. It's massive. Not having Montez Sweat out on the field. Okay, we're gonna double team here. We're gonna double team Dex because he's the big guy that seems to be starting to force some things, right? Or we're gonna double team on the other side. Like it's not you don't get as many one-on-ones, which doesn't allow you to just go through and dominate guys as easily. Like I'm very yeah, I think that the defensive line that we saw, it's good to see what we saw, but I think you do kind of look at it with like half a picture basically because no Montez Sweat is massive. And that defense still looked that good while missing basically the entire secondary outside of Jalen Johnson. So yeah, I mean, there's still a lot to be seen from this team. I hope that we see more. I do hope that the starters play in this game versus the Bengals coming up this Saturday. Hope we don't get the whole, well, a joint practice is basically just a game because of the intensity. And I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Let's keep it going, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button if you have not done so. Subscribe to the page. Leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. The other thing for me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I know Muzz is going to be at my head in the comments. I don't care. Because at this point, we're just trying to force it. At this point, it's because you don't want to get rid of a third round pick that Ryan Poles drafted. I understand it, right? I get it. I get the whole conversation around it. Velus Jones has no spot on this team. Velus Jones has no spot on this team. But Pat, he did a great job at running back. He ran for 37 yards, or I'm sorry, 34 yards and scored a touchdown on 6 carries for an average of 5.7 yards per carry. Great. Is Velus Jones getting running back run? Is Velus Jones in the game getting 6 carries if Khalil Herbert's there? Or if DeAndre Swift is there, or if Roshan Johnson is there? Like, let's be real about this. There are 5 running backs ahead of Khalil Herbert, or ahead of Velus Jones right now. Like, legitimately, 5 running backs ahead of Velus Jones right now. And yeah, like I guess at the end of it, right? Like you kind of say, well, he was above Demetric Felton, who the Chicago Bears ended up releasing yesterday. He's above uh um who's the other one that was Ian Wheeler, right? Because he went ahead of Ian. That's fine. Roshan was hurt, so you didn't see any Roshan, which is why you saw Velus get out there. Swift and Herbert are absolutely about where are you playing Velus? And the plays that you're looking to put Velus in on, I'm sorry, dog. He's got 2 plays. Y'all want to keep this guy for 2 plays. I get it. He's fast. He's big. You want to utilize him. You don't want to give up on him like you did a guy like Cordero Patterson. You want to utilize him as a running back. But dog, are you going to wait? Are you going to wait till he's ready at running back? Do you care that much? Because I'm sorry, dog. I've got a $7 million running back already. I've got Khalil Herbert, who I don't even know if he's going to be on the team. But realistically, he's much better and probably more suited for the new kickoff rule if you did something with the new kickoff rule. Oh, and by the way, you also bobbled another punt by trying to like jump catch it. Or not a punt, I'm sorry. Bobbled another kickoff by trying to like jump catch it. The thing that you do. You're trying to like jump catch it and got your hands up like a wide receiver. What the heck was going on there? Where are you playing Velus? He's the 6th wide receiver. He's, to me, at best, the 5th best running back. I get it. He ran an outside zone run and scored a touchdown because he was fast going that way. There's fast guys on the team already. DeAndre Swift is fast. Khalil Herbert is fast. What are we talking about? Honestly. We're really sitting here for 2 plays. Outside zone run, end around. Those are 2 plays. Guess what the defense is going to know is coming? If he's standing in the backfield, well, probably going to be an outside zone run. If he's standing over at wide receiver, well, probably going to be an end around. I'm calling it out. I'm taking my chance. Like I'm done with the experiment. It's been 3 years. We're still talking about the same stuff. I mean, like we're just trying to find a spot for a good athlete. And I hate to tell y'all this. This is the NFL. There's freaking 53 good athletes on the field. Even his kick return numbers, bro. His kick return, yes, he was one of the top 10 people in kick return numbers last year, but it's 2 yards more than the touchback. He averaged 27.5 on kick returns last season. A touchback is 25 yards. Like, I don't get the attachment to him. I want him to do well, but he's not good. He's fast and he's big. That's it. I've seen fast and big in this league. Shea McClellan was fast and big. He couldn't play football. You know what I mean? Like we keep having this debate here, and I'm just like, let's what are we doing? I was watching him out there running back. He like slips in the backfield one time, and that's probably because he's not used to playing back. I understand that part of it, right? And I get it, right? He ends up running a little bit. He does a couple of things to the outside, but realistically speaking, his all his yards came from the one big run. I think he had a 19-yard run. That's what we always see. What Lewis Riddick say on Waddle and Sylvie last year? Because people are holding on to these flashes. Flashes get you fired. Now I don't think Velus is so egregious of a pick that anybody's gonna get fired. But if you're sitting here just beating your chest for Velus, like I can't argue with you no more. He's the fifth best running back in this room right now, and we're beating our chest at the fact that he scored a second half touchdown versus the twos and threes. Meanwhile, Ian Wheeler scored two of them. Nobody's even talking about him. Come on, dog. Like I don't know. I don't know. Let's finish it out here. Appreciate y'all tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Bears training camp and the coaching staff that is running it seems to be being proved effective. One thing that I was very impressed by leaving that preseason game, not only the preparation that the team had, but the play calling that was utilized versus the defense that they were running. Now, again, very vanilla defense, nothing crazy out there, but it's also a very vanilla offense. At least we hope. I feel like we've had this conversation on OCs before. Like, well, he's not calling that much. And it was like, oh no, he actually calls all screen passes. He was calling his whole playbook. Um, but I thought Luke Getsy used naked boots perfectly with Caleb Williams. I thought that he used Boss later in the game absolutely exceptionally. I thought that he did. I thought he did some really, really good things play calling wise. And I thought that it benefited the team and it always had the team at an advantage. At no point on the field, at any quarter, did I feel like the Bears weren't able to go out there and move the football at will. I felt like this was a team that knew what they were doing on the offensive side and they had answers for the defense. Now, were there times where the defense answered back? Yeah. Solid defense, right? Especially in that. I mean, the tackle on 3rd and 1 to stop Khalil Herbert, heck of a tackle. Now, Herbert's supposed to go inside, not outside the tackles, but heck of a tackle. Those guys get paid too. But it just felt like Shane Waldron had answers. And then on the flip side of it, right, I thought that Eric Washington called a heck of a game defensively as well. And yeah, you talk about Buffalo being able to get down the field and move the ball down the field, but when it got to the red zone, done, stifled. Where are you going? It felt very much bend but don't break, but they did not break. And yeah, like that's an okay thing to see as well. Now, would I rather have them get off the field, be a little bit, more rested and different things like that? For sure. But I think that takes time. You also have to take into account no Montez Sweat, no Tyree Stevenson, no Kyler Gordon, no Jaquan Brisker. Half your DB unit isn't out there. But what we saw out of the linebacking core, I thought was absolutely stellar. I thought he used linebacker blitzes perfectly. I thought that when we saw Jalen Johnson out there, it was maybe come away with that interception. You know what I mean? It hit you in the chest. Two hands. I get you. I understand it. You can still be a great DB without him, but it helps when you get him. You know what I mean? But again, Sweat being out there that caused a little bit more havoc. That allows you to intercept the football a little bit more. That puts more pressure on the quarterback. I thought the Bears did a good job getting pressure to Josh Allen, but maybe just not finishing things off. And I thought that they were a very well coached team. I commend Matt Eberflus for the job that he did with his team in this first preseason game. Now, can you do it again? Can you do it again? But I came into this game. I mean, listen, y'all saw the podcast. I came into this game with major questions. Excuse me, sir. We're not moving the football at all offensively. We got some problems here. Nah, we're good. Are we doing this again? Yeah, we got it. Okay. All right, we doing this again. No, we're not. They got it. They have a camp that has their guys prepared. And that's another thing from Caleb Williams that I was impressed by. It's something that from the defense I was impressed by. I thought that there were a multitude of things that were really, it just looked like the Bears were a prepared team to go out there and get stuff done. How Caleb Williams commanded the huddle. Beautiful. He's never done that before. Well, I shouldn't say that. He's never done that in the NFL before. He's done that hasn't done it since high school. I thought it was beautiful how he handled the pocket. I thought it was beautiful how he navigated play calling duties and stuff like that. I thought the same thing defensively. This Bears team, dare I say, looked more prepared in that first preseason game than they looked in the first game last season versus the Green Bay Packers. That is an encouraging sign. And that is why you need to continue to play these guys. That's why in the joint practice they need to play, and in the game they need to play. Get them out there. Get them out there. Gotta see it. Gotta see it. But hey, you guys let me know what you saw out on that field. You're smart fans. You guys know, what you're looking at, what you're seeing. That's why I love covering the Chicago Bears in this town, man. So let me know your thoughts on what you saw in that first preseason game. Let me know what you thought Caleb Williams looked like. Let me know if you feel like Austin Booker can be a starter in this league. And of course, I know you'll let me know your thoughts on Velus Jones. Hey, appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. It's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again, man. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love.